Despite the enormous problems Michael had growing up with his family in the spotlight, Michael desperately wanted a new family of his own. And in 1994, while the accusations of pedophilia swirled around him, Michael married Lisa Marie Presley. The wedding took place secretly in the Dominican Republic, and for almost 2 months, publicists denied they were even married. People were immediately suspicious.
It seemed to me that from a psychological sense, watching it, that the relationship and marriage with Lisa Marie Presley was just a sham.
Why would Lisa Marie marry him? I still couldn't imagine those two having much of a romantic relationship, but maybe they did.
The kiss on MTV was ridiculous. It was said afterwards that Lisa Marie wiped her lips.
I think for both of them, it was to help them publicly. He had a lot of stuff going on, and I think him to be married to a woman would have helped him.
And also, she grew up in strange circumstances. Her father was, the most famous man on the planet. Her life wasn't normal. Michael Jackson's life wasn't normal. There you've got perhaps a meeting of two minds.
And just think, nobody thought this would last.
But it didn't last long. 2 years later, Lisa Marie filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. And while some people raised eyebrows at the abrupt and mutual separation, the real shock came soon after, when media reports broke that Michael had married a nurse named Debbie Rowe. Debbie was pregnant with his child.
Michael Jackson did the right thing last night and married her.
There was definitely a purpose behind those marriages. I'm not sure if it was a marriage out of love. With Debbie Rowe, he wanted kids.
Oh yeah, he always talked about that. At some point in his life, he wanted to get married and have kids. He loved kids.
They met at Arnold Klein, who's Michael Jackson's dermatologist. She was the nurse. They got chatting.
I'm not sure if they were in love. Maybe they were, but I don't think it's a standard marriage.
Once again, Michael was married in a private overseas ceremony, this time on the Australian leg of the History World Tour.
He needed a reputation boost. He'd married Lisa Marie Presley, the King's daughter. That was falling apart. He needed children. He obviously made her an offer, which was obviously quite remarkable. And, Debbie took up that offer to bear his children.
Whatever deal they made, I'm not a part of it, don't know anything about it, but knowing Michael, he wanted those children for himself.
Immediately, rampant speculation spread about the legitimacy of the marriage, and while the couple repeatedly insisted that it was a normal union, by the time their second child was on the way, troubling signs started to emerge.
Michael and wife Debbie Rowe Jackson are expecting a little girl.
She had problems when she was pregnant with Paris, the second child, and she couldn't have any more children, at which point, Michael Jackson seemed to lose interest. So her youth had gone, as far as Michael Jackson was concerned.
So little Press is going to have a sister?
Yes.
How about after that?
Let's see. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm getting old.
Debbie and Michael divorced in 1999. Rumors surrounding the divorce say that Rowe was paid to give up full custody of the children.
There's no indication she's seen the children since Michael Jackson died. I don't think she wanted them.
She gave those children to Michael as a gift. That's what she said she did.
She also said that it was she that demanded the divorce.
My friendship with him is the most important thing to me. And if this marriage gets in the way of that friendship, then we'll put the marriage aside.
He wanted the kids, he wanted to raise them, he wanted to be a single parent.
Michael was an extraordinary father.
They looked like a happy family. That impressed me more than anything.
It's a great father, a wonderful father, very attentive, and he handled everything. He was the epitome of a single parent.
Michael appeared to thrive as a single father with young children, but as the kids grew older, the world caught a glimpse of some of Michael's bizarre methods of parenting.
In terms of being a father, I think there were a lot of conflicts. It is difficult for a boy man with arrested development to step into the role of father.
Michael, sometimes being childlike, he didn't understand that actions that he did would be so controversial.
I think for the kids being veiled, he was honestly trying to be a good dad. He remembered growing up always being photographed. He wanted to protect his kids. He took it too far, yes.
The most pointed criticism came after what we know today as the baby dangling incident.
At one point, Prince and Paris, he had taken them to the window and, of course, put the scarf or something over their faces so that nobody could take their picture, but he would have them wave to the fans downstairs. And a lot of times, those fans would say, we want blanket, we want blanket. So Michael, just trying to appease the crowd below, at some point he grabbed Blanket, put a blanket over Blanket's face, and took him out there.
A lot of fathers take their children and they toss them up into the air and they catch them. Now, is that responsible? That's pretty irresponsible.
I think that Michael did nothing minimal. He took everything to the extreme.
The way Michael behaved with those children from start to finish, putting them in masks, hiding them away, it's really despicable, isn't it?
Was it the smartest thing to do? Well, no, obviously not.
He was trying to show the crowd below his child. In his exuberance, in his excitement, he did something which was irresponsible. He recognized it as irresponsible afterward, but he did it.
As the years went by and curiosity about the children increased, people started to question whether Michael was really the biological father.
Of course, Michael always claimed they were his kids, but it's obvious by looking at them that they don't seem to have any of the features genetically that Michael had when he was younger, pre-plastic surgery. And so there's a lot of suspicion about whether or not they were really his kids.
Throughout my investigation, I discovered that Michael was rumored to have solicited numerous sperm donors throughout the years, including Mark Lester, Arnold Klein, Marlon Brando, Omar Badi, Johnny Cochran, Chris Tucker, and the late actor Robert Urich.
A British child actor, Mark Lester, he came out and said that he was the father.
I believe that Paris could be my daughter, and I'd be willing to take a paternity test. Michael Jackson asked me in a private conversation whether I would be willing to donate sperm on his behalf.
Best of my opinion, I believe Michael is the biological father. He told me he was. I have to take his word for it. Debbie Rowe has told me that he was. I have to take her word for it.
Michael always told me that he was the dad of Prince and Paris. There was a surrogacy whereby Blanket, who was Prince Michael II, was born.
Everyone has a different theory about who the biological father is for each of Michael's children. The most pointed speculation I found suggested that Blanket is the son of Omar Badi, a Norwegian performer who Joe Jackson once claimed was actually Michael's illegitimate son. Others see a resemblance between Prince and Paris Jackson to Dr. Arnold Klein. Although Klein has admitted to once donating sperm, he has also stated that to the best of his knowledge, they are not his kids.
Looking at pictures of Harriet and Paris, there's a very strong resemblance between the two of them.
Until those children choose to be DNA'd and choose to name the father, I don't think anybody will ever know.
In the end and through my investigation, I believe it is most likely that Dr. Arnold Klein is Prince and Paris' sperm donor and that Omar Badi is Blanket's. But does it really matter? Because Michael was the man they really called Dad.
When I watched him with those kids, they were his whole life. So it's sort of almost irrelevant.
Michael was a great father, a superb, hands-on dad. Nothing would ever take that away. Whether those children are biologically Michael's or not, Michael was their father. End of story.
In the wake of Michael's tragic and unexpected death, the world is closely watching to see what will become of Michael's children.
He presumably wanted his children to have the childhood he never had. And yet, his actions, I have to say, in, sleeping, not sleeping, taking pills.
Wouldn't you think he would have thought about those kids a little more? I mean, a guy that does that to his kids, can you really respect that guy?
These kids are going to be okay because they're surrounded by family and love.
I think we are all waiting with great anticipation to see what comes from Michael's children.
I have seen Blanket bust a move a couple of times in the kitchen. They're highly intelligent, the children, and they're very artistic and very creative. Their daddy made sure of all of those elements. But you never know. You never know.
If I had a son or a daughter, I said, by all means, be my guest. Step right in there. If you want to do it, do it. Because to me, nothing's more important than making people happy.
Those people who facilitated this, they know who they are.
He will become even more of an icon because he died when he did.